By now, you know that President John Dramani Mahama has directed the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, to commence immediate investigation into the reported complaints of suspected corruption through the Operation Recover or Loot, what you know as Oral Committee. Now, the directive follows the submission of a report detailing financial malfeasance and misappropriation of public resources uncovered by the initiative. Here is Maxwell Agbagba with more on this.
Jubilee House, where the members of the Oral Committee just finished presenting their report to the President, and the President also forwarded it to the Attorney General right there, presented it to the AG for the next phase, to take place.
The chairman of the Oral Committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, said the total value of 36 financial cases reviewed was $20.49 billion. He said the estimated value of state lands reviewed was $702.8 million, with the total estimated value of all cases reviewed standing at $21.19 billion. President John Mahama presented the report after receiving it from the Oral Committee to the Attorney General, ordering him to launch immediate investigations and prosecute those who will be found culpable in the Operation Recover or Loot report, as he warns that Ghana is no longer a ground for corruption.
Make for sober reading. They reveal the scale of financial leakages that have cost our nation dearly. Resources that should have been invested in education, healthcare, infrastructure, and social development. But they also offer hope that through our collective efforts, we can reclaim what is ours and deter future acts of economic sabotage. As we receive this report, let me assure the Ghanaian people that the work does not end here. The recommendations of the report will be carefully studied, and where legal action and investigations are warranted, they will be pursued without fear or favor.
Well, let's explore this further and speak to Nana Agyei Baffour Awuah. He is a lawyer and MP for Mensah South. Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm certain that you have seen the numbers, the figures, and the concerns raised by Ghanaians as well, and especially the report that has been presented to the President, who has in turn also presented it to the Attorney General. I'll take your initial comments first. If you can hear me, kindly unmute.
Good morning, and thanks for this opportunity. My first comment is that we should always embrace every action of the state that would fight corruption, protect the national purse, for the benefit of the entirety of Ghana. And so if this objective can be met by what has been done, I don't think there's a problem. However, we need to do so in a manner which is lawful, in a manner which is consistent with the Constitution. And so we are waiting to see whether what they have done will stand the test, the legal test in our courtroom. That's my initial test.
But what would that mean? What would that test mean?
The test means that if you want to prosecute somebody based on this, or you commence prosecution based on this, whether even the evidence they have presented will be considered even admissible in our courts, is also another thing altogether. I'm yet to see the documents, and so I'm not able to comment on it. And that is why I gave that initial position. So you may want us to proceed to look at the entirety of the exercise. Very respectfully, if you're going to let me take the liberty to speak to that.
You have the liberty, go on.
Good. Now, what really, what I'm inspired by President Mahama's comments or speech when he received the report. He said that he's happy that this would help us reclaim what is ours. Yes, it is good if it can help us reclaim what is ours. It will be consistent with the Constitution prosecution, which is to protect state assets. But the fundamental question is whether it will lead to the desired deterrent, because I also see that he said, it will deter future happenings. But the question is, will it lead to the deterrent? First and foremost, even before the oral report was received, persons that had been charged by previous government, right, had been let go by the President Mahama administration. And so if President Mahama is genuinely interested in deterrence, I am of the view that he should have allowed that prosecution to come to an end, so that if anybody was innocent, he will be discharged, he will be acquitted and discharged. And if anybody was found guilty, the person would have been convicted and sentenced, right? That would have been proper deterrence. It would have deterred members of the NDC themselves, who have now taken the reins of power, from committing similar offenses, knowing that some of their compatriots that committed similar offenses were punished. That would have been proper deterrence. It would have been proper deterrence, and also embolden the Attorney General to do prosecution, proper, do new prosecutions. That way, Ghanaians wouldn't have seen the Attorney General to be a partisan Attorney General. Very respectful. I use these words, very advisedly and with a very heavy heart, accompanied by a heavy tongue, because speaking about Dr. Agyei, who is a good friend of mine, who I respect a lot, whose brains I admire, right? But his actions on this occasion, I think, is not proper for the fight against corruption. It weakens his hand when it comes to the fight against corruption. And I don't think that it casts the government as sincere and in terms of its quest to fight corruption.
And so
people are seriously questioning the
okay.
People are seriously questioning the government's sincerity.
Let's stay on that for a minute.
We have heard from Manasseh Azuri. We have heard from Manasseh Azuri, who I respect a lot when it comes to his reports and investigations in terms of the fight against corruption. I respect him a lot.
And so for you, the Attorney General discontinuing these 7 cases, which because of time we may not go into, and proceeding to want to investigate the suspected cases, especially the 36 cases that the oral committee has drilled down to, will amount to him not being what? Not administering justice fairly because they discontinue the 7 cases?
It would amount to the Attorney General being seen by Ghanaians as not being sincere in his quest to fight corruption.
What if they investigate these 36 cases, drill it down, find them culpable, and it turned out with hard evidence that these people were found guilty? Would that still mar the outcome of the results?
Ghanaians will see him to be a very partisan Attorney General who only goes after people who are not members of his party. And now what it would mean is that Ghanaians are going to look at the NDC's membership as an immunity against prosecution. So long as you are a member of the NDC, you will not be prosecuted by the Attorney General. Am I saying so? Look at the case of Dr. Johnson Siama, for instance. In the case of Dr. Baffour and 8 others, he was an accused person in that matter. He is the only one he's the only one whose charge was withdrawn. He was the only one whose charge was withdrawn. One of the charges against him is conspiracy. Right? Now, is he saying that, yes, he cannot conspire with the others? If he couldn't have conspired with the others, why is it that those against whom the charge of conspiracy was leveled against, together with Dr. Siama? Why is that those people are still standing trial? People are asking why. You see, Dr. Dofo are saying that Dr. Dofo is there because he contested President Mahama. So President Mahama is peeved because Dr. Dofo contested him. So people are saying, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm hearing on the street. The Siama has been withdrawn, and all cases against NDC supporters have been withdrawn. High-profile NDC supporters have been withdrawn because they are NDC.
The Attorney General just exercised. Do you not think the Attorney General just exercised a power that is given to him by the Constitution by entering a noli prosequi? That's a question you would answer for me. But let's revisit how the complaints were received. Because the oral committee yesterday was saying that most of the complaints, in fact, 2,417 of them were from the public. How do you separate these ones from whistleblowers? How the complaints came? Do you think that it comes in any way that is the NDC party that is pursuing members that are not part of the government, especially because of they saying that they received most of these complaints from the public?
My sister, the test for the Attorney General, right, is not who he received the complaint from. The test is who he goes after. If he goes after an NDC member, then we'll know that he's going to be a balanced Attorney General. If he decides not to go after an NDC member, but a non-NDC member, then clearly our suspicion is confirmed. And we need no further evidence. The evidence is there. The evidence is his filing of noli prosequi in the instances which you've already cited. The evidence is the filing of the withdrawal in the case of Dr. Johnson Esiama. We don't need any further evidence.
These 36 cases have not been investigated. In fact, we do not even know whether all of the persons that may stand accused will be NPP members. How do we arrive at this conclusion?
I am saying that there is a proverb in Chi that says that agrobeyeda ifranopa. There is another proverb which says, for you to appreciate it very well, let me put it this way. You say you are going to banish death, but you've taken up the trade of selling caskets. The Attorney General says he's coming to prosecute matters of corruption, but he's the one freeing people who have been accused of corruption. Judgment is as good as mine. I need not elucidate further. He says he's coming to banish corruption, but he's now the clearing agent of people who have been accused of corruption. Will that be sincere?
Well, the Attorney General has promised a subsequent addressing of the media and says that he'll be giving us clarity. In fact, the government spokesperson at the presidency has said that most of the allegations were mounted on frivolous, some of them were frivolous and very malicious. The Attorney General says that he was going to be addressing the media and giving us an update. But we have read your article on that one, and we have also heard you today. As you have said, we'll see whether the evidences that will be adduced from these 36 cases will still stand the test of time in court. Many have actually even said that the Attorney General will be successful in these cases, especially we haven't actually put costing to how we're going to be pursuing these cases. But thank you so much, Mr. Nana Agyei Baffour Awuah, for talking to us this morning. We'll follow you again in subsequent bulletins, but we'll go for it.